एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में, मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी, और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानकुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
A very good afternoon to all the dear friends and potential business buyers, those who have joined us today for our Business Opportunity with Chai webinar series. This is the digital representation of the brand business opportunity which we have got for each one of you. Franchiseindia is Asia's largest integrated franchise solution company, where our aim is to provide maximum business opportunities, franchisee solutions to all the potential business buyers so that they connect with the brand and take the right and the conscious decision of selecting the perfect franchise for themselves. And we truly claim no one sells more business than us, because we have helped more than 78,000 investors in getting the business from our side. And 5,000 international and national brands have expanded their wings with our 80 plus offices. It is our privilege to invite and welcome management team of Franchiseindia, Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am. They'll be sharing their viewpoint and thoughts about the industry as well as about the brand business opportunity which we have got for each one of you. The brand which we are representing for each one of you is BurgerSingh. It's the best burger chain in India. And today we have invited our special guest who will be talking about this great brand and how can you be associated with BurgerSingh. They'll be sharing their complete PPT as well as business model with each one of you. It is our privilege to invite and welcome Mr. Kabir Singh, Mr. Rahul Seth, and Aviral Dubey from the brand side to present their business model. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining in today. May we request have a formal presentation from your side. Over to you, Rahul and Kabir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think thank you guys for doing this. As always, it's always a pleasure to work with you guys. I think the format that we're currently going to take is I'm going to take you guys quickly through a 20-minute introduction on the brand and an overview of what it means to be associated with BurgerSingh as a franchise. And then Kabir will join in as we get into a discussion, and then we can address individual questions that you guys have and that the panel has and so on. So I think I'm going to start with just talking to you guys. You guys should be able to see my screen. And I'm going to start with just telling you a little bit about how BurgerSingh as a brand came about, what we stand for, and what the franchise proposition sort of entails with BurgerSingh. So let's talk about the brand first. We came into existence towards the end of 2014. This was Kabir's brainchild. He always had a history of experimenting with burgers, and I think his story has been like pretty well documented now on various channels, and a lot of you may have heard of it already. But the long, the shorter version of it is that he had started experimenting with Indian flavors while he lived in the UK, and come up with this idea of this product range, which basically took an Indian flavor and incorporated it into the burger, which is the largest sort of fast food product in the world. So the idea evolved over a few years, and then as Kabir gained expertise both in supply chain management and other things, when he came to India, he sort of started, finally decided to jump in and give the brand a go. And he opened his first outlet in November 2014. The things that are the unique about the brand. One, like I said, it's taking a Indian palate and infusing it with a large scale product, which is the burger, which is quite unique. So there's a lot of burger chains right now in the market. The burger, in fact, has become the second largest category on most fast food aggregators. So if you look at the Zomatos and the Swiggies of the world, within the delivery category, the burger is now the second largest product category. And if you look at all the competition within that, they're mostly American chains that are, like McDonald's and Burger King and so on. And what they have specifically is that they're serving an American product to an Indian audience. The thing that sort of sets BurgerSingh aside within that category is that we very much take we take Indian flavors and sort of infuse them into the product. So the product essentially is Indian fusion burgers. The segment is fast food, essentially, in that it is served to you very quickly. We would also call it fast casual dining, because one of our very prominent models that's worked really well for us is the sort of small store format where you can come in, have a meal with your family, and sort of turn it around. But so we call that like the fast casual dining. This has especially worked well in like tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So that's, done really well. The brand itself has a very lively, so the name BurgerSingh itself says a lot. It says, it talks of like a happy, quirky, fun sort of an image. And most of our target audience currently is like the modern young Indian, middle-aged income who, that have a life but enjoy something expressive and it's basically a fun, quirky sort of image that the brand has. So that's the brand itself. Since we've started off, we've done really well in terms of reaching out to an audience. We've gained recognition from a lot of sources. I'm not going to get into like a very detailed, step-by-step reading of the presentation. Some of you can sort of read some of that, but I'll list some of the highlights. As we launched, we've got recognized by the Economic Times as one of the top 50 startups in the country. We were Startup of the Month by Startup 360 magazine. Your Story did a bunch of coverages of us. And within the first year, we gained a lot of popularity within Gurgaon, which is where we sort of started from. Within a year, we had gained some interest from angel investors and had been able to sort of get some people interested and invested in the business, from where we sort of expanded to first the rest of Delhi, and then as we kept growing, the rest of North India and so on. So now, about 5 years later, we are at about 48 outlets across the country in all the locations that you see on the screen now. So in North India, we're apart from Delhi and the surrounding NCR region, where we have a lot of outlets. We're also very prominent in Punjab, where we have outlets in Patiala, Amritsar, Chandigarh. We have.
Rahul, I don't think we can see your screen yet. Sorry.
Oh, can't you?
No, I don't think that's happened.
I've just tried to share it again. Can you guys see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now. Maybe you want to go to the previous slide before this.
Okay, so the previous slides were, one second. So the previous slides were basically just listings of like the awards and things that we've had and news media coverages. I think I'll come back here. So this gives you a sort of chart on the screen. You should see like the locations of our various outlets across North India. Like I was saying, apart from Delhi NCR, we're in the whole Punjab region. We're very strong with outlets in Chandigarh, Patiala, Amritsar, and so on. We have outlets in UP, Drive-throughs are a new big thing that has been working extremely well for us. And location like highway locations have been doing phenomenally well. Muzaffarnagar being a prime example, where we are at Devrana, and that does incredibly well. In the west, we are in expanding very rapidly in Gujarat, where we currently have 3 outlets in Ahmedabad. There are more outlets coming up in Surat and Anand and so on. We've been in Jaipur and Hyderabad and so on. So we've been, I mean, this is the history over the last 5 years has been sort of expanding quite rapidly. In the first year itself, we'd gone to about 3 outlets. After raising our first set of funding till about 2018, that we were growing slowly and went up to like 15 outlets in 2018. And then since then, it's just sort of taken off. And currently, we stand at about 48 outlets across the country, right? So that's a little bit about the brand. What I'm going to do now is just sort of address what it means to take a BurgerSingh franchise. Like, what do you as an entrepreneur get when you decide to go for a BurgerSingh franchise? What are the things that come with that package, and why should you, choose BurgerSingh over something else? So I'm just going to go like, well, if you're to me, the real choice is, agar aap apna business chalu kar rahe ho, there are two options. One is to open your own restaurant, and the second is to go with someone who's already well established. So what are the real advantages to go with someone who's already established is what I'm going to address now. So with us, for instance, the first thing is the product line, right? That doesn't come easy. It takes a lot more time and effort, as I'm sure Kabir will maybe address later on once we get into the panel discussion, that it's a never-ending process of trying out, testing new vendors, making sure of a million small things, like, does this product deliver well, does it do well, does it have a good shelf life, and so on. So these, the time and effort and money spent into research and development and developing a product is enormous. But what you get when you sign up for a franchise is that you get a fully ready-made, tried and tested product line that is already, that has already worked in so many locations and has been refined time and time again over a period of time. For us, the key factor, like the key things that we've always focused on in this area have been, so Kabir used to use this line quite a lot, that there's like three V's that he likes to use, which is that it has to have a strong value proposition, there has to be a lot of volume, and it has to have a strong vegetarian component, especially if it's going to do well in India, right? And that's sort of been the basis for the product line that we've developed. Like I said, we cater to an Indian audience, so there's very much like a very strong Indian flavor profile within our menu, which you will see. We also have the largest vegetarian product range within the burger segment, which makes us stand out quite a lot, because this is the thing that the larger American chains, for instance, don't give you the options of. They don't give you. They have like maybe one or two vegetarian options, but don't really have the full flavor profile. So that we are able to offer. And this works really well today. If you look at our sales, almost 60 to 65% of our overall sales come from vegetarian products. So there's in a country like India, there's so strongly, where there's such a massive vegetarian audience. That's a segment which is not currently being served well at all by the current players. Our fries, which have become something that we are extremely known for, again have quite a unique sort of flavor profile. They have they have masalas mixed in them. There's a Delhi six, there's a hot shop fry which is like quite spicy, but there's like a very strong Indian flavor profile. And this is one of the things that people are absolutely crazy about when it comes to our product. Like, they absolutely love the fries. Um, the other thing that I had mentioned was the value proposition. And the value proposition for India, the fact of, like, the reality of the matter is that you will never get very far unless you provide value for money. And that's something that we are very focused on and have been focused on throughout our journey, is to provide a really good quality product at a phenomenal value, because we want to get the volumes. The volumes have to follow from those two things, something that people enjoy, and extreme value in terms of money. So here on the screen, you see our starting range, which is our entry level burgers, which are Amar Prem. which are two vegetarian burgers, and they start at 79 rupees for two burgers is what the price is in dine-in. So that's this is, so we're very much focused on that value proposition. If you look at our menu, we have various menu categories where you'll get something at every price point. So like at every 20-30 rupees price point, you'll have something that suits you. So you can go from, if whether you're a value driven customer who likes to get a lot of food and is on a budget, whether you're a student or someone who orders every day and is conscious of how much they're paying, or whether you're just a burger lover and wants to experiment with new flavors and new products and doesn't mind spending a little bit more, we have everything on that menu to cater to you. So obviously then there's desserts and other beverages that we have to accompany your meal. So the product line is something that you get which is fully established and ready to go. When you sign up with the franchise, is day one, you have a ready menu that already works and you can start going for it. We have, in terms of operation, we are the thing that a restaurant owner, especially a new entrepreneur who's looking to get into the business, agar aap pehla apna restaurant khol rahe ho, so there are lots of things that you are not aware of, like what are the best practices to do on a daily basis. Electricity mein kaise conserve karoon, what are the right number of people to hire, how much should my staffing be, how do I train these people into the best practices. The advantage of signing up with a brand like us is that all of this comes to you and is delivered into a ready package. So not only do we completely train you from the first day in terms of getting you a full operational training and certification for each of your staff members, we also have an extensive training program for the franchise owners that sign up for us. So we have individual sessions where we train them on good business practices. How do they manage their monthly expenses? How do they ensure that they make a good profit at the end of the month? We also have monthly reviews, both for marketing and for good business management, where you have a conversation with one of our business managers, the head of our franchise department, who sits down and looks at your particular restaurant and sees how you're functioning, and then comes up with an action plan for the things that you can do in order to get there. So with all it's not like you sign up with us and then we train you and then leave you out to figure these things out. We're actively helping you on a monthly basis to get to certain numbers, and we have targets and so on. So that's quite a lot of support that you get in terms of running the outlet. The supply chain is, most people will tell you, most people who have been in the restaurant industry for a while, जो थोड़ा time इस पे time spend कर चुका है, वो आपको बताएगा कि one of the backbones of running an effective business is a good supply chain. There are lots of things you need from your, to ensure when it comes to the raw materials that you convert. Now, with our model, one of the big advantages is that हमारे model में the outlet itself does not require expert chefs. It's more like a assembly unit. मतलब खाना का सारा जो कुकिंग और प्रेपरेशन होता है वो सारा बैक एंड पे होता है. खाना आपके आउटलेट पे डिलीवर होता है और आउटलेट पे जो आपका स्टाफ होता है वो एसेंशियली प्रोडक्ट को असेंबल करके डिलीवर करता है बस. That's the reason the quick service restaurant model has done so well and gone so far and wide across the world, is that it's a very easy process for a for a first time restaurant owner to run. But there's a lot that goes into making that happen, and that is all that work happens in the back end. All the work that you're not doing at the front end happens at the back end, where we spend an enormous amount of time doing quality control, ensuring the product is packaged and delivered to you in a way where it's just ready to go, so you can just assemble it and deliver the product, right? And the big advantages of this are a massive manpower saving. Firstly, in manpower costs, you don't need expensive chefs at the front end to run your business. You also have a very strong consistency when it comes to product delivery, because आपका product एक दिन से दूसरे दिन change नहीं होता. It stays like a consistent, strong product line. It's the same for the customer. Whenever they order from you, what they get essentially is exactly the same thing. But the full advantage of this is provided by our supply chain, which we have a massive team of some of the best people in the country, putting that together for you. Right. And the other big advantage obviously over here is that when you procure products at the scale that we procure them at, then there's the cost saving that comes along with that is significant. So agar aap individually as एक रेस्टोरेंट ओनर अगर आप मार्केट में जाके अपना खाना प्रोक्योर करने की कोशिश करते हो, it comes at a certain price, but when we are ordering, let's say 20 tons of chicken patties, then the cost that you get is a fraction of what you would get in the market. So the full benefit of that economy of scale is brought to you and delivered to you by our supply chain. So that's one very massive advantage of going with, especially with an established brand. Obviously, everything in the back end with it comes to do with hygiene and managing of the entire infrastructure, which is the food processors, the warehouses, the transportation system, logistics that gets the food from one place to another to your actual store and delivery. All of that is something that we take care of for you. And all you have to do, your job is just reduced to looking at, taking your own inventory within your store, seeing what is required and placing a simple order on your POS system, right? Uh, Here's, if you're seeing the screen still, and I haven't haven't lost you guys again on the presentation, then you'll see some of the outlets of some of our stores. So this is what some of our stores look like, and so this is again something that we've developed and tested out over a period of time to see what sort of an environment is really great for people and that people enjoy. And again, that's something that you don't need to spend time and money on. It just, it's a, we give you a brand playbook that has a fully set up design, which comes with the franchise, and आपको मतलब आपको बस वो उसके हिसाब से अपना store बनवाना है. And in fact, we have options for you for vendors जो आपको fully ready store बना के दे देते हैं. You just have to sign up with us, and within 25 days we give you a fully ready store which you can start operating in, right? So that's something that comes with it, with the franchise. At a central level, you have other major ones. आप अच्छा now आपने खाना खरीद लिया, आपने brand establish कर लिया. Now it comes to the actual monthly running of the outlet. And this is where currently, I mean, as everyone knows, today Zomato and Swiggy have become some of the biggest avenues for selling your product. Within our stores, we see up to 50% of our business actually coming from deliveries. So that's an important. Those relationships are very important relationships to manage. And again, there's a big advantage in going with a large chain that you will not have as an individual. अगर आप एक बड़े चेन के साथ जाते हो तो जो आपको कमीशन रेट्स मिलते हैं वो काफ़ी कम होते हैं compared to the commission rates that you would have with individual restaurants. आपको जो deals मिलती हैं in terms of advertising, because we aggregate all of those requests and we buy collective packages from these aggregators, the deals that we get in terms of spending are much, much better and more efficient than you would get as an independent restaurant owner. So there's a big advantage in doing that. We have a full team of people that manages the relationships for you, for Zomato and Swiggy. We look after the branding over there to make sure your outlet gets enough visibility. We give you constant reports on क्या metrics हैं आपके restaurant के on these aggregators that are driving your sale. So अगर आपके restaurant का rating is it at the right point where it needs to be or not? How are your customer reviews that are going on? Is that affecting your sale or not? There's a total funnel that happens for your restaurant, which is how many people came and opened the restaurant listing on Zomato. Then how many people from that added something to the cart, and how many people from that went and actually completed the order, right? So it really matters कि इसमें से आपका drop off हर जगह पे कहाँ हो रहा है, और ये सब चीज़ों का analysis और आपको ब्रेक डाउन देना, सो दैट इट रियली बिकम्स इजी फॉर यू टू मेक अ डिसीजन एज अ रेस्टोरेंट कि मेरे को क्या ठीक करना चाहिए. मेरे को अपना डिस्काउंटिंग एडजस्ट करने की जरूरत है या मेरे को अपना रेटिंग एडजस्ट करने की जरूरत है. अब ये सब चीजें आप या तो खुद कर सकते हैं, और भी इन आवर केस विद कमिंग विद अ ब्रांड लाइक अस, वी हैव एन एनालिटिक्स टीम दैट्स सिटिंग एंड लुकिंग एट ऑल ऑफ दिस डेटा एंड गिविंग यू इजीली एग्जीक्यूशनेबल पॉइंट्स कि आपको इस चीज पे काम करना है, इस चीज पे काम करना है, आप ये करोगे तो आपका sale improve हो जाएगा, which makes it tremendously easy for a first time restaurant owner rather than doing all of this themselves. That's a big advantage. We also at a central level run all your central branding campaigns for you. So we've done, like, if you're in Delhi, if you're with us today from Delhi, then you would have seen a lot of these auto rickshaws that have BurgerSingh branding with campaigns that we've done. You would have seen hoardings. You would have seen, heard of radio campaigns that we do at a central level. So ये सारे design करने और इनको to make them popular, so that when you open your first store, you already have brand recognition. People already know who you are. You're not starting from scratch. आप अपना रेस्टोरेंट चालू करके ऐसा नहीं है कि आप चालू करके now all the job of promoting is going to happen from scratch. When you open your first BurgerSingh, people already know of you, they've heard of you, and hence you have a certain amount of sales from day one. Now this is obviously very strong in the areas that we're in already, but we also invest very heavily into the newer areas that we get into by doing large scale campaigns. So even there you get a lot of support from the brand in terms of becoming popular, and the more franchisees that we sign, the stronger that sort of promotion becomes already. We also look after each individual store gets a social media page, and we have updates on your social media, and the special offers that you're running for your outlets are also done on a social media level, which our marketing team at a central level looks after. When we win awards for things like best delivery, which we have in multiple cases, and in multiple cities, then sort of promoting that, making it reach your target audiences in your surrounded areas, geographical targeting karke, to get you a sort of customer base around the places where you are. All of that is also done by our central team, along with giving you things like regular updates on your menu designs and in-store branding and so on, right? As I mentioned before, there's a digital, your customer complaints that come in on now every restaurant. अगर आप restaurant चलाओगे तो कोई ना कोई complaints होंगी उसमें. There'll be someone who didn't get their food on time. There will be someone who had some other issue with it. And so again, we have not only a digital complaint management system, but an infrastructure inside which helps us resolve each complaint and get back to the customer, so that we ensure that our quality levels and customer satisfaction levels are kept extremely high. Doing this ensures that you have, a trusted, you continue to have a trusted brand and a trusted product in your neighborhood, right? Apart from that, the other things that you get is like a fully set up tech infrastructure. So we have a call center that looks after a lot of queries that come in from people. So we have a call center that's fully trained. So you're not left with the job of answering phones and answering normal questions. We have a call center that does that. We have a very advanced business analytics dashboard that gives you 1,000 splits of the data that is relevant to you. So daily basis पे आपका Zomato पे कितना सेल हो रहा है, Swiggy पे कितना सेल हो रहा है, आपका एवरेज जो डिलीवरी हो रहा है उसका कॉस्ट कितना है, आपका कौन सा प्रोडक्ट कितना बिक रहा है, कौन सा रेंज ज़्यादा बिक रहा है आपके उसमें, आप जो डिस्काउंट्स रन कर रहे हो उन डिस्काउंट्स में से कौन सा डिस्काउंट ज़्यादा पॉपुलर है, कौन सा डिस्काउंट पॉपुलर नहीं है, आपके दिन में कितने बजे की सेल हाईएस्ट है जहाँ पे आप ऑलरेडी अच्छा कर रहे हो, और कितने बजे की सेल बिल्कुल कम है जहाँ पे आपको फोकस करना चाहिए. ये सारे बिजनेस इनसाइट्स और ऐसे हजारों और चीजें आपको हमारा इंटरनल एनालिटिक्स डैशबोर्ड है जिसका आपको एक्सेस दिया जाता है, जो आपको that lets you go in and view and see these things and make very intelligent decisions as a business owner about what it is that you can be doing, right? Similarly at the supply chain end, जो मैंने आपको पूरा पीछे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बताया था कि इतना बैकग्राउंड पे काम होता है, आपके एंड पे बहुत सिंपल है. आप अपना इन्वेंट्री देखेंगे, उसको अपने सिस्टम में जाके एंटर करेंगे, सिस्टम आपको एक रिकमेंडेड अमाउंट बताएगा कि आपको अगले हफ्ते की सेल के लिए इतना relatively ऑर्डर करना चाहिए. आप अपने बेस्ड ऑन योर ऑपरेशंस ट्रेनिंग यू जस्ट प्लेस एन ऑर्डर इन योर पॉइंट ऑफ सेल सिस्टम, और वहां से that's all you do, and then your job ends. After that everything is taken care of by us and we deliver everything to you. So all of this and the technology that enables it is all ready and in place and comes to you the moment you sign up. Obviously this itself is something that will take like 6 months, a year, 2 years of learning if you go in as an independent restaurant owner, right? So I've sort of now just briefly gone over all these benefits of going over with going for a brand like BurgerSingh. Now what I'm going to focus my energy on is sort of quickly take you through the two broad models that we have. So हम लोग अभी as a franchise opportunity हम बस franchise owned, franchise operated model कर रहे हैं बस, which means that you are the entire sole owner of your business. The sort of people that we are looking for very specifically are the sort of people who are interested in starting their own businesses and growing them and growing those businesses while spending their own time and effort into running those outlets. So this might actually be at a disadvantage to us, but we don't mind being open about it, that we are not looking for people who want to make an idle investment and not get involved with the business themselves. That is not what we're looking for. We're looking for people जिनको जिनको अपना पैसा मैटर करता है जो उसमें लगा रहे हैं, that investment has to mean something to them, because that will mean a lot more involvement in the business. In our experience, everyone that we've worked with, and we've been fortunate to work with a lot of franchise owners जहाँ पे where we've been extremely successful. The most successful ones are the people that have put in the time and effort into developing their outlet, and these people have grown from one outlet to 2 outlets to 3 outlets and so on. We already have today multiple franchise owners that are at 3 outlets and are looking to expand their chain into getting even more. And this is all the more impressive because we've only been franchising for a very short time. हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा time से franchising नहीं कर रहे हैं. Till a majority of this journey हम खाली company owned stores operate कर रहे थे. अगर आप ये करना चाहें तो आप 2 टाइप के मॉडल्स में कर सकते हैं. The first model is a takeaway model, which is a takeaway franchise model, which typically requires a store between the size of 300 to 500 square feet. ये हम ऐसी जगह पे रेकमेंड करते हैं जहां आपका फुटफॉल relatively अच्छा हो on a high street where there is visibility, there's good branding, and you don't need a very big shop for it. It's 300 to 500 square feet. This is mostly a kitchen with a front facade and a takeaway counter essentially. काफी केसेस में यहाँ पे थोड़े से कुर्सी टेबल बाहर रख सकते हैं. We are okay with that, like with like 2 or 3 standing chairs and tables, etc. Things like that are totally feasible in this model. This works really well for high streets with very expensive real estate, जहाँ पे मतलब आप बहुत बड़ी दुकान नहीं लेना चाहते, छोटी दुकान लेना चाहते हैं. School campuses, those sort of places, malls where you have takeaway counters. A lot of these places make excellent avenues for takeaway outlets, right? The advantage of going with a place is high footfall is that you can get up to, based on our history so far, we get up to 50% of the sale revenue here comes from direct consumer sales, which means it's not coming through the Zomatos and the Swiggis of the world, which means the margins on these things are still very high. So you break even a lot sooner and you make a lot of money a lot faster. So that's a big advantage of a takeaway model, and you can do that without spending an extraordinary amount on expensive real estate. You're not paying like a couple of lakhs every month in real estate. You open a small store and you focus on takeaway. As it is, the kitchen preparation time is not much, so people don't have to wait long. They come to your counter, they place the order, खाना package होके उनको पकड़ाया जाता है, and then they take off. So it's a very efficient sort of a takeaway thing. It's not very different from your ice cream parlor in a huge sense. The waiting time is not long. So like I said, this is good for like high street markets, food courts, colleges, etc. Also, we would like there to be a good delivery area around this because we do really well on delivery as well. So till some point, a lot of our business used to come from delivery. We also do extremely well in late night, which is one of the things that the brand has become recognized for over a period of time, is that we do phenomenally well in late night delivery. So जहाँ भी आप अपना location choose कर रहे हैं, वहाँ delivery encatchment होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. Now at this time I should speak briefly about location selection. That अगर आप franchise owner हो और ये सोच रहे हो कि how do I pick a good location, then again we have the entire country very extensively mapped out in terms of opportunity areas. So we have a team that looks at various cities and various neighborhoods and says कि यहाँ पे marketing potential कितना है. जब आप हमारे से when you call in and you're talking to us about discussing a business opportunity, we help you a lot with existing numbers in those areas कि वहाँ पे जो currently जो आपका competition है वो क्या business कर रहा है, उधर कितना opportunity है delivery से, क्या हम sale expect कर सकते हैं. और इसके सिवाय हम पूरा business modeling करते हैं to figure out what it is that we need to do from that particular area. So before you sign up, आपको ये पता होता है कि इस जगह पे मेरे को दिन में 120 ऑर्डर करने की जरूरत है, तब मैं इधर से पैसे बनाऊंगा, for example. So we help you with all of that and finalizing a location in order to start. Also on the location point, this is a extremely lucrative opportunity for 2 segments of people. It's a great opportunity for everyone, पर 2 sets of लोग ऐसे हैं जिनके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा added advantage है. एक सेट वो है जिनकी अपनी दुकानें होती हैं, so people that have their own stores, it's a big advantage for those guys. The second set of people are people who have existing restaurants that have not worked, and and they already have a lot of the equipment and infrastructure set up, and hence for them मैं आगे जाके आपको सारे expenses के बारे में बताऊंगा, but for them it's much cheaper to convert an existing infrastructure store which is not doing well and just change it to a recognized brand like BurgerSingh and completely, increase your sales drastically. So for those set of people also, it's a great business opportunity, right? Specifically coming to the commercials of the takeaway, the smaller version store that I just talked about, aapka total expenditure over here is only 16.5 lakhs. And what that gives you is a completely ready to go store. So we have a series of vendors from whom you can choose. आप सबके उनके portfolios available होते हैं. आप उनसे individually personal level पे बात करके you can choose any one of these guys. These are guys that do projects for all the big stores in India, all the larger chains in India. And so you can agree on who you want to work with. But for 16.5 lakhs, what they will give you is a fully ready store, which includes all the electric work, civil work, electronics that are included in the store, CCTV cameras, billing machines, menus, boards, upar ka signage, equipment, everything that goes into the making of a store comes to you within that price point. Now, for a comparison, if you look at if you looked at other restaurant chains within this segment, you'll realize that this is a very, very efficient capital structure. There's a famous sandwich chain, which I won't name, but I'm sure you guys can all guess, where the price tag for a similar size store is between 60 to 80 lakhs. There's other burger chains who have roughly, the same sales as ours, who also have like a 60 to 80 lakhs capital expenditure when coming to a store. So I always say that we've not only managed to create a brand that does well, we've managed to do this at a very, very affordable price point. So with us, you'd be able to open 2 or 3 stores for the price that you'd spend to open any one of those and have 3 times the revenue. So I think that price point is something that really should be taken, that you should take a note of, because it's a very lean capital structure, right? With the takeaway model, your franchise fee for a 5-year license is 5 lakh rupees. And in the long run, you pay us, once you've done that and you started with us, there's an 8% royalty that you pay us month on month. From the revenue that you do, 92% stays with you, 8% comes to us, right? That's the takeaway model. The dine-in model, the difference is that we're looking for 500 to 1,000 square feet area के बीच में. The seating over here can range from 20 to 30 people roughly. And so it's not a massive store, but it's enough for you to be able to turn around a certain number of people. It's still kept small enough so that your rentals are kept under check. So having low rentals is still a very important thing. One of the biggest strengths of our business model is that we keep a strong check on our price points, and hence you don't spend a lot of money into breaking even. So 20 to 30 people ये seat करता है हमारा जो dining model है. इधर आपका up to 70% sales can come directly from to consumers, depending on which region that you're in. Now ये 70% का number is especially pertinent for tier 2, tier 3 cities जहाँ पे हम जा रहे हैं, जहाँ पे अभी इतना delivery culture नहीं है जितना आपके metros में है, where people still, in most smaller cities, we have seen that people still prefer to go out with their family, sit down and have a meal. And all of that. So there you have, about a 70% dine-in direct to consumer sales. Here your ROI happens, or full return on investment on the entire store happens in 3 years, right? Locations I've already talked about. The expenditure over here comes to about 25.6 lakhs is your project cost, which again includes everything, furniture, ACs, everything extra that goes into a dine-in outlet. This has a franchise fee of 8 lakh rupees. And again, it's for a period of 5 years. The royalty does not change. The royalty is the same. It's at 8%, right? Just on a side note, as a disclaimer, I'd like to say that some of, the actual costing of this may vary slightly based on your actual location. Some locations have very specific challenges which we can't accommodate into a general model. But in 90% of the cases, this is the cost that happens. 10% ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है based on your actual location. right? So those are broadly the two sort of financial models and a little bit about the brand and, you know, where we are so far. I feel I should just, you know, like stop talking right now before it just, before, you know, and just like sort of open this up for now, just conversation, because beyond this, what people want to understand are very specific questions, you know, to their own, जो उनके अपने interest की चीजें होती हैं. So beyond this, it's let's just open it for conversation and then, you know, sort of go from there. That's all for me right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you so much, Kabir. I think this was very, very detailed presentation. And I would also like to add, we've come a long way associating with BurgerSingh, Kabir and Rahul. And I would say we've witnessed the growth of the brand very, very closely. And also they have evolved their business model, the offering to the end consumer, and also for the franchise partners over the last 6 odd years. And with funding from some of the marquee investors, the brand has seen a very progressive growth in this time. And I will also echo what Rahul mentioned. If you look at the burger market, and this has been upgraded to a all new different level. It has become a separate industry, which was not the case maybe some years back. And not only because of the international brands, but India today has, I would say, some of the leading brands, homegrown brands, which are leading the segment, and BurgerSingh being the pioneer. And this segment or category, I would say, is a multi-billion-dollar industry today. So what the company is offering is a very strong value proposition for all the stakeholders. And what they are is they're very picky about both the profile and also the location of the outlets they would open. And there are 7 points which I'll quickly summarize the overall offering which the company is doing. Is the first and the foremost important thing is the extensive training program for the franchise partner and the staff. And second, which Rahul also mentioned, was about the supply chain. This is a very, very critical aspect for any food operations, especially when the business line is when the operations is assembly line. It is very simple for a prospective partner to operate, and it also brings a lot of standardization of products, taste, packaging. And when I say simplification of the operation, you don't need to have a very skilled chef or a staff, and very easy to even replace for reasons people move out. And with a very strong delivery platform, the company also has a very big data intelligence on the locations where the demand is coming in. And I saw some of the answers given by Kabir. I think there was a location in Agra, which he mentioned. These are two locations where we need and potential locations. So they have very strong data intelligence. And the two formats we're talking about is takeaway and dine-in, but it is a completely franchisee-owned, franchisee-operated model. And so I'll start with the questions, and I see a lot of questions which have already started to pour in. And Kabir, to you and Rahul, anybody could start off with. And Kabir, because we have not heard you, anything that you want to maybe say about the brand and the journey of these six years. And I see, we have heard you on radio. I think every day there have been a lot of promotions going on. So what has the last, I think, 6 years been for you, and how you think the industry overall, the burger and as a category has evolved, and how do you see the consumer also evolving?
Thank you, Sonia. That's an interesting question, and it can be a long-winded answer over there. When we started on 1st of November 2014, the only burger player in the market was McDonald's. We started on the 1st of November 2014, and Burger King opened their first store on the 13th of November. So it was a very small gap. And the industry was going through something like the pizza industry went through in 2001, 2003, where, a number of players jumped into the market at the same time. And it became a really cluttered market. And 7-8 years later, there was a clear top three in the market as far as the pizzas were concerned. And I think the burger market has also gone through that because we opened on 1st of November. Burger King came in on the 13th. Then there is something called Carl's Jr. that came in the next month. Then there was Johnny Rocket that came in the following month. And it went on from there. Today, I think the market looks very different in the sense that there are clear player 1, player 2, and player 3. Player 1 and 2, you guys know. goes without saying, big companies, big IPOs. And we are now clearly number 3 with slightly different business model wherein we want to kind of grow exclusively through a franchisee route. Market size, actually a couple of years ago, the market was about 2% of the Indian food market was burgers, growing at about 16 odd percent year on year. Today, it looks more like about 9% of the total food market in India, which has become, I think, the 4th largest category or 5th largest category, and growing at 24% year on year. So the headroom for growth is massive. The number 1 cuisine, I think, is North Indian food. Then comes South Indian food, and I think then number 3 is pizza. Number 4 is biryani, and I think number 5 is burgers. Unlike the other markets, may it be a pizza or North Indian food or the burger market, the burger market out of these is the least cluttered. If you look at the biryani market, there might not be many national players. There might be 1 or 2 national players, but there are a number of regional players. Each area has its own biryani competitive market. If you look at Delhi, there are 3-4 guys in the top 2 or 3 positions, which are not present in the south of the country. And you see the same thing. The big boys of the south in the biryani segment are not there in the north. So it's a very cluttered market. It's a very fragmented market. All of these, it's a very competitive market. But if you look at the burger market, it is player 1, player 2, player 3, and then the gap is fairly large. Delhi being the most competitive burger market. We've kind of seen ourselves evolve as a brand. That's the second part of your question. Is when we actually started off, we wanted to be a slightly expensive $400 a burger kind of a market. But we quickly realized that that's not the India that you want to serve. You can sell a $400 burger or $450 burger in South Delhi, Gurgaon. You can probably sell it in Bandra. You can sell it in Mumbai town and a couple of other places around the country. And then we started to kind of realize what McDonald's and Burger King were doing and what price points they were pushing it at. And now we've kind of brought our brand to a much wider Indianized range, but very competitive on the pricing as far as the bigger boys are concerned.
Absolutely. I think, Kabir, that's very well summed up on the overall journey that you have come so far. And I will also take some questions. I was reading some of the questions, and some of them will become a part of the questions which I wanted to also ask. So starting off with, we've talked about 2 models, which is takeaway and dine-in. And there's an overall investment of 16.5 lakhs and about 25.8 lakhs for a dining model. There's also a component of franchise fee, which is shown as 5 lakhs and 8 lakhs for both these models. If you can take maybe a few minutes, Rahul, maybe, how the breakup of this investment and what are the components that would be a part of that 16.5 lakhs and 25 lakhs? And is the franchise fee, which has been mentioned separately, part of that investment, or that is over and above?
So I'll let Rahul take that on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I'd sort of briefly address this even in the presentation, but for the takeaway and the dine-in, the capital expenditure amount that we quoted, which is 16 and the 20 amount, includes your entire project cost, right? Which means that everything that goes into the building of the store. So the independent components, if I was to break down the categories, would be your equipment cost, civil and electrical costs, your technology cost, which is your point of sale systems, cameras, all of that equipment that, like tech equipment that goes into it, and signage, menu boards, all of that. So what you get for the amount is a full ready to go store. The franchise fee is additional. It's not a part of the capital expenditure on the store. It's additional to that. That's just a license fee that happens for 5 years. So it's 5 lakhs in case of a takeaway and 8 lakhs in case of a dine-in.
All right. Now, what it looks like, so it's a turnkey, where the entire amount is paid and you would undertake and launch it, or is the franchisee given the specifications of what needs to be done and he gets executed that at his level?
No, so it is a turnkey. You're correct. We don't do the project. We have certified vendors who do the project. These guys are very familiar and have been trained extensively with the particular requirements of our brand. So they're experts at sort of executing in a way that most suits us, even in the long run in terms of execution. Because so we've had in the past, to be honest, had that model open for individual people, because a lot of franchise owners, when they approach this, they have the question कि मैं project खुद कर सकता हूँ या नहीं कर सकता, because they feel that there's going to be a saving. They also feel the brands, some brands tend to make a big margin on the earnings. Now, one, we don't do that at all. It's a straight payment from you to the vendor. It is very tightly negotiated. Secondly, from our experience time and time again, that the projects that were executed by the professionals were much cheaper. No matter what people's initial feeling was, they actually turned out to be much cheaper to do. And the long-term service, the after service on those, the maintenance and so on the projects in the long run was far more efficient. So even the franchise owners, even the people who had gone in and said कि हम लोग खुद कर लेते हैं project, have mostly come back and regretted it and said कि हमें आप लोग के साथ कर लेना चाहिए था. At which time we said, okay, as a standardization process, a new person getting it may not understand this, but we understand enough about the business to give the proper advice. And the proper advice is, let's do this in the right manner so that you don't end up spending more money in the long run. So now we've restricted it very simply to, हम लोग आपको 2-3 certified vendors बताएंगे, आप उनमें से choose कर लीजिए. You can choose between them. You can have your independent conversations between them, and then you can finalize with one of these guys. But these guys have done a lot of projects for us, so they are very good at executing those projects.
And also that brings economies of scale, because the same vendor would have worked for all the 48 outlets which have been running and operating.
Correct. That's a very good point. In a lot of cases, like furniture, जो चीजें खरीद रहे हैं, वो large scale पे खरीदने से उनको फायदा हो जाता है, क्योंकि पैसे बचते हैं उनके, rather than doing it independently. So that's also a very good point.
Thanks, Rahul. The other question which I'll pick up is on the operations overall, and the points which I would like you to cover is typically what are the operating expenses for both these formats. The food cost that we take into consideration, the typical APCs for both these, and also maybe the average throughput of a takeaway and a dine-in.
Right. So I'll take this again if you don't mind, Kabir. The thing here is that I can give you a very generic answer, which a lot of people tend to do, but I don't find that a honest approach to the whole situation, simply because your situation varies for a franchise owner very drastically based on aap exactly kya kar rahe ho. So a person who's opening in Agra is not going to be the same, is not going to have the same balance sheet as someone who's opening in Vasant Vihar, because Vasant Vihar is going to come with a much higher real estate. There's going to be a totally different strategy at play. However, what we like to do is, I think, go one step further and, at our own expense, give you a much clearer idea of what is going to be, which is why we encourage you to call in, speak to our business managers. We help build a business model for you specifically on your location and your variables. Do you own your own store or not, for example? Is there that rental efficiency that you're going to have? आपको अपने जेब से rent नहीं देना पड़ेगा, for example, right? आप वो ज़्यादा पैसा marketing में खर्च करके, that whole thing can be a lot more profitable for you. Or are you going for a high risk, high return sort of a model where you're opening in a store which is going to get a lot of footfall? Or do you want a more conservative approach? So a lot of these things can be achieved, but we want to speak to people to be able to give them specific examples, right? The business modeling, basically, I can give you the overview, is that we are very conservative on expenses. We are very lean on operational costs. So your costs stay low. Your break even comes very early. In most cases, it comes within like the 3rd month of operations. Although we ask people to have like working capital for at least 6 months. तीसरे महीने तक operationally आप break even कर लेते हो most cases में. And between 1.5 to 3 years, depending on if it's a takeaway or dine-in, you've recovered, recouped your full money, and then you go on into making a lot of money. I also saw one of the questions on the board there, which is relevant now, so I'll answer it. Is that does it get auto renewed at the end of your period? So at the 5-year period, currently our policy is that we charge half of your franchise fee. So अगर आज आपसे 5 लाख रुपए ले रहे हैं for 5 years, then at the end of 5 years we'll take half of that to renew it for another 5 years. That is the policy, which is almost no expense, because by then you don't pay the capital expenditure or anything. Again, you pay only a small amount to renew it for another 5 years.
Great. And I'll also add, when we look at overall QSR as a segment, and there might be some variation, but as a thumb rule, what we're taking about 30% as a food cost, and 15% typically would go into maybe your rentals, and about 12% would be the manpower, and 10% broadly should be around the utility cost, and 8% is the fixed the percentage. That's not a fixed royalty, but a percentage. 8% is what we are charging. So typical net margins overall, if we talk about, should be in the tune of 15 to 20%. Is that right?
See, we achieve a overall net of 15 to 20%. The breakup in our case is different from what you just said, which is that breakup is fairly accurate for a more conventional restaurant. But our approach is to focus on volume and scale, right? So for us, the food cost, because we're in a very competitive marketplace, for example, the food cost will be higher than that, but the manpower cost will be lower. So आप दूसरी जगह, like an Indian restaurant, you might have that you buy vegetables and all of that, and then you charge a certain premium for it. So the food cost is lower, but then you spend a lot more on expensive chefs and their salaries and so on. So in our case, everything is automated, so the thing slightly shifts. So the individual brackets are slightly different. Our food cost will be higher, manpower cost will be lower, but overall we get to roughly those same numbers, which is 15 to 20% gross margin up end May. After all your thing, you hit like a 15% EBITDA on your total P&L.
All right, that's very helpful. And I'll start picking some questions now. And the first question which I'll pick up, I did see somebody asking on the cloud also, because everybody's talking about cloud, especially the last 1.5 years. And the model that we're talking about is takeaway, especially the locations which have a high footfall. So you don't have too much cost on the delivery, especially the platforms that people use to deliver are very high on commission, which kind of also erodes your bottom line and also margin. So anything, Rahul, that you want to add on the cloud kitchen format? Is that something that we might look at too?
I don't mind taking on that question if that's okay, Rahul.
Sure.
Please.
So, the cloud kitchen model, as far as expenses is concerned, is not very different from what a takeaway outlet would cost you. It'll be a marginal difference just on the facade and stuff like that. Now, the difference between a cloud or a traditional takeaway that we are pitching is that a cloud kitchen takes a very, very long time to break even. In the sense that since it does not have any visibility other than within the Zomato or Swiggy app,
right,
the time for that outlet to become from a 1 lakh outlet to a 10 lakh outlet is a very, very long time. In India, jo dikhta hai, wo bikhta hai. So if you're crossing, say, Vasant Vihar, Vasant Kunj, or you're crossing STA and you see a BurgerSingh signage on the road, it's a takeaway outlet. It is some branding that the consumer knows is in the area. And therefore, the first bunch of orders that start to flow in are quicker. You start getting to your 100 tickets, 150 tickets really fast. The second aspect is that, I think Sonia, you mentioned upon that no matter what you do in a cloud kitchen, whatever your revenue is, 25 or between 20 and 25%, Zomato and Swiggy will take. So in that sense, your cloud kitchen is then just a labor arbitrage, right? Because आपकी occupancy cost, मान लीजिए आपका rental सिर्फ 2% है, पर आपके 100% orders के ऊपर 22% Swiggy लेके जा रहा है, so your break even starts going further and further off.
Correct. Yeah, and that's a big percentage, especially when we talk about food, and all our margins go topsy-turvy.
And it's it's just predominantly then a labor arbitrage, which means कि मेरे पास में अगर 4 लड़के हैं किचन में, उनको मैं fully utilize कैसे करूंगा, जिसके लिए आपको multiple brands चाहिए होंगे. तो cloud kitchen के अंदर एक brand के साथ में succeed करना काफी मुश्किल है. You need one brand that does 8 lakhs, then you need a second brand that does 4 lakhs, and another brand that does 3, 2, and 1. So you probably need 5 or 6 brands in a cloud kitchen. And then is the cost justifiable? Because then if you've got 5 brands in one kitchen, your cost is as much as a takeaway, if not more.
Right. That's a very good point. And that's the reason we see many brands which have actually become multi-brand cloud kitchen. They're offering multiple cuisines under the same roof.
Sure.
these economies of scale. And also, I would add on to that, and some of, especially the new brands, would not look at cloud because your customer interface or connect per se is very, very poor. So you're only dependent on the promotion that you see on these platforms. So I'll also pick maybe question on the rollout, and I'm seeing a lot of questions on the rollout because the location that we saw were primarily, north-centric, Delhi, NCR, UP, Rajasthan, upwards, which is Chandigarh, Tri-City, Punjab. So which are the locations we want to go as a priority is one. I do see somebody asking tier 2, tier 3. Is that Mr. Rajiv Singh? So he says, which type of city are you targeting now? Is it 2, 3 Himachal city? Is that part of rollout? I saw somebody from South also, Mr. Denix, I believe somewhere in a Q&A, is South something that we're looking at? At the same time, would you also want to answer if we get a good prospect, would you be open for an area franchise in locations we don't have a partner yet?
So, Sonia, as far as the area franchise is concerned, we are open to having conversations on the subject. But then it becomes a very deeper relationship and we want to kind of explore things properly on that front. So to answer that in one word, yes, we are open to exploring that option. As far as which cities, there is, I think, Rajiv Singh that talked about Himachal and stuff like that. We are seeing tier 2 and tier 3 cities demand bounce back really, really well after the second wave of corona. And therefore, we are open to all tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Himachal is a state where our supply chain is also fairly viable. Our North India knock for our supply chain is in Haryana. And getting to any part of Himachal doesn't cost us too much. On the south question from Daniel, I thought?
Denix, yes.
Denix.
Yeah.
Our supply chain actually originates, all our raw material originates from between Bangalore and Hyderabad. So our supply chain is very, very efficient in that particular region as a whole. We haven't entered that market right now because we are kind of looking to enter it in a big way and we are looking for the right partners to find the right locations. And to be honest, like at some point of time, Sonia did mention that we are a little picky about who we work with. And so I think that's the only reason that we haven't really entered that city yet.
Great, helpful. And I think one question which is coming from many investors is on the radius. Somebody's asking on exclusivity. Would you want to comment typical what distance do we keep? And I'm sure, depending on the tier we are in, Delhi would be treated differently to maybe Agra or any other city. So any comments? On
yeah. So, we have a lot of data going in and we've kind of answered a number of questions on which location in which city. So we've kind of mapped out India fairly well from a delivery and from a takeaway / dine-in perspective. Now, unlike a number of other sandwich brands where their aim with the franchisee is to increase store count, which is, you see one of them here and then you see another one 10 meters away, is not something that we want to do because, delivery, because of corona and just the way the country is getting digitized, is going to be a large part of your business. So in tier 2 or 3, where the penetration of deliveries are not there yet, might not be the situation 3 years or 4 years from today. And therefore, we've mapped out all of these cities fairly well. We've seen which area is good and which is not. And we want to ensure that no two franchisees cannibalize each other's business.
Yes.
So we don't really have a fixed distance because, that wouldn't make sense. For instance, in Gurgaon, I can open up in a very small radius, I can probably open up 6 outlets, right? But if I go into a city like Jaipur, right, I can probably, all of Jaipur, I can open 10 without cannibalizing each other's business because, Jaipur traffic situation is also different. The roads are a lot wider. If you look at how Gurgaon is and, how wide the Jaipur road is, a Jaipur outlet might be able to deliver very, very efficiently for 5 to 6 kilometers.
Right.
But in Gurgaon, that delivery efficiency can be only 3 kilometers, right? The idea is that the product should reach the customer within 40 minutes of him ordering. तो ऑर्डर लगने से बनने से राइडर के पास आने और उसकी डिलीवरी होने तक 40 मिनट होना चाहिए. अब वो 4 किलोमीटर है 5 है, that's a very dynamic situation. And also how the city grows. So to answer your question, we've got firm view on how many outlets and which location we can open in a particular city. And once we've identified and covered those locations, we don't open more. Till the time the city as a whole grows and can absorb more outlets.
More outlets, yes. Yeah. Very well answered. I'll pick maybe one or two few questions as we already at the last few minutes of our webinar. Maybe one I'll pick up is on the profile, and I see Mr. Harsh Agarwal telling that he's already an existing established restaurant owner. I don't know which city, but that's what he's writing. So do you think that would be next for someone who's already in the business and these kind of profiles? And also on conversion, Kabir, if there's existing, I would say, people, they're doing their own brands, is that a possibility of looking at a conversion franchise too?
Yeah, of course. See, the thing is, it becomes a lot easier for us also. If somebody is already from the industry and has been working on his brand or some other brand and he wants to convert it to a BurgerSingh franchisee, then for me, that's the best guy because he already knows how to run the business, right? He's already somebody who understands the interface between him and the consumer, a little bit of knowledge about how Zomato and Swiggy work. So for me, to be honest, if you had to ask me which would be my number one choice of franchisee owner, would be that person, somebody who already is from the F&B industry. Also, the idea of a conversion is, you might have some equipment that might be transferable to my brand. There are a number of things that even if you run an Indian cuisine store would kind of work for me also, like the chest freezers, the exhaust, the duct, stuff like that. So the opportunity cost for somebody to convert from that to a BurgerSingh franchisee is a lot easier, and we also prefer those guys.
And in all of those cases, I'll just add that the capital expenditure will go down from the amount.
Yeah, drastically.
So that it might not be 16.5 lakhs for someone. It might just cost, like I remember doing one project where it cost someone like under 2 lakh rupees to do the whole transition because sabhi kuch tha already, everything was already there. So,
Correct. Right. Great. Very helpful. And while we still have a lot of questions coming in, and friends, we cannot take due to paucity of time. I will also request, Kabir, if there's anything that you want to say to the entire audience, or if there's something which is interesting for somebody to grab, right now, is that something that you want to talk about as a closing remark, or any kind of incentivization that you want to give to the people who are present on the webinar?
Yeah, so we've been working on a food court kind of mall model. And we wanted to kind of put it out there that we are looking to kind of, do franchisees in mall food courts across, and we'd be giving a franchisee fee waiver on those locations. And we can go back and forth on what mall works better and what doesn't, and what location works and what doesn't. But for a limited time period, we want to kind of aggressively get into malls. And therefore the franchisee fee waiver. And the strategic value in that is we are seeing a lot of revenge buying. We are also seeing a lot of food courts become available. Some really, really good food courts with some really, really good locations have become available across the country. And, we Indians love going to malls. That's like a source of entertainment. It's like one-stop shop solution for all the needs, from the mummy of the house to the bacha of the house to the man of the house. We just show up. Koi picture dekh raha hai, koi toy store ke andar khel raha hai, koi khana kha raha hai. So it's like a family outing, and it's a hot country, so those ACs also work. So I think getting into food courts in malls is going to be a big strategic push over the next 18 months for us. And we're looking for the right guys to join in.
And do we already have locations?
Like to add, sorry, if you don't mind, I'd just like to add a side, whatever, on this thing. That as a lot of these malls are reopening, and some people might be concerned about the rentals and so on. But what we found is that in every case where the mall shut down, the rental, you also don't have to, you have to stop paying rent. Like in case of these lockdowns, etc., where, lockdowns happen, so आपका rental भी बंद हो जाता है. You stop paying the rent for that period of time. So it's not like if you're sitting there thinking that, this is not a good whatever, because that's not the case in most cases. You save on the rent.
Right.
And we'll help you negotiate that. We'll help you negotiate that. We'll help you negotiate the clauses of the agreements with the malls, because you got to be careful of these things also. So we've got there's some gentleman who said that what kind of support you'd be able to get from the main team, and we'll give you everything here, from legal support to supply chain support, you name it, and we're there to kind of help you out with that.
Sure. Very, very helpful. Very, I would say, extremely informative, elaborate. Many questions I see coming in still. And friends, I will make a request. We will have the team of BurgerSingh reach out to all of you, understanding your profile, location, if you want to convert. And also, I see Mr. Rajiv Singh asking for a recording of the session. So we also have a recording of the session, which is available on the Facebook page of Franchiseindia Brands. And you can go on the page and see the entire recording. And I would request the team, if they want to announce a discovery day where they want to connect, or maybe that can be done one-to-one also, where the entire team of BurgerSingh will reach out to all the investors who've come to the webinar today and will answer all your queries, questions on a one-to-one basis. I also saw Mr. Harsh Agarwal says, I'm totally in for that and would like to discuss further. So with this, I'd like to thank all of you, and Kabir, Rahul, thank you so much for being with us, and the lovely audience with so many questions coming in still as we conclude the session. And when will be the discovery day? So Rahul or Kabir, you want to tell a date that you want to maybe connect with them together independently? Anything that you want to announce?
Yeah, let Rahul.
We can do that as quickly as possible. Over the next 3 days, I think we should be able to touch base with everyone who's been over here. So you will get a call from us. And we'll take it from there, whatever queries you have, individual ones. If you show your interest by either dropping a message here, you can even go on to our website, burgersingonline.com /franchise. Once again, that's burgersingonline.com /franchise. Or if you just go on to burgersingonline.com, you can navigate onto the franchise page. There's a form there where you can fill in, and we will be back in touch with you. So that's something that you can do. There's full details available on the website. So just go there if you need to. Otherwise, in any case, we'll be reaching out to you guys over the next 3 days.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kabir. Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thank you very much.
Everyone for being with us. Ashna, can I request you to kindly take over for the closing remarks?
So thank you so much, Kabir. Thank you so much, Rahul, Aviral. Thank you so much for all the preparation for this particular webinar. Thanks for your efforts. All the dear friends, thank you so much for joining in today. It was a great session. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for taking all the queries from our investor. As said by Rahul, we can touch base with each one of you within 3 to 4 days. In case you need more information, you can connect with us at our business hotline number, which is 97176-83838. We request each one of you to save this number in your phone book. You can also write to us at feedback@franchiseindia.in. That's our email ID. You wish to connect with us, you can connect with us at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And yes, the recorded version of this particular webinar is available at the Facebook page of Franchiseindia Brands Limited. You can go on the video library. You will see all the previously done webinar also. You can also connect with Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am at their respective LinkedIn IDs. Information we have just shared on the screen. And today we wish you to join us for our Bharat Franchise Show. This is India's biggest franchise show, where our aim is to cover 100 cities in 100 days. Today, we are inviting you for Siliguri chapter, where we have invited brands representative of founders. They will come and digitally interact with you so that you understand their entire business model. To do registration, you can either reach out to us at our business hotline number or go to Facebook page. We have already shared the registration link. Thank you once again for joining in today. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.